Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be checking out a video that was recommended, and this recommendation request has a statement, and this is what the statement says. Hey, here is a video how the Swiss became so good at fighting for freedom. So, freedom, America. Okay. Calm down, boy, calm down. But I've been enjoying checking out a lot of videos about Switzerland because I don't know. I just think Switzerland is really underrated, and I just did not know that the internet had this much information about Switzerland. I've learned so much about Switzerland, and it's, in my humble opinion, one of the most underrated European countries. Simply put, it is amazing, lots of history, and strange history, I will say, because most countries fought, right, like a lot. I think Switzerland fought a lot, but the way how they fought allowed for them to have so much respect that pretty much, reduced the amount of, trying to mess with Switzerland. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Ignore the echo. I'm trying to, do some changes to this room, so it's a little bit echoey. So apologies. However, if you have any recommendations, you can leave those in the comment section down below. Perfect. Hit that link in the pinned comment section where you can recommend videos, and I'll check them out as soon as possible. Please do like and subscribe. And yeah, let's check it out.
Throughout history, Swiss soldiers were celebrated for their bravery and skill on the battlefield. Their reputation began in the days of the ancient Roman Empire, where they gained great respect from the invading Roman army. The Roman scholar Tacitus stated that the Helvetians are a people of warriors, famous for the valor of their soldiers. By the time of the Middle Ages, the area of what is now Switzerland was part of the Holy Roman Empire. It was also during this time period that Swiss soldiers began to be seen as a highly effective and ruthless fighting force in Europe. In 1291, 3 Swiss cantons, which were small sovereign states, formed an autonomous confederacy within the empire. This new Swiss confederation was still technically part of the Holy Roman Empire, but they had established local rule for political and military affairs. For a short while, the Habsburg rulers of the empire recognized the autonomy of the new Swiss confederation. By 1315, tensions between the Confederacy and the new Habsburg rulers of the empire led to Leopold I, Duke of Austria, to invade and try to crush the rebellious Swiss cantons. Leopold I arrived near the shores of Lake.
To every Austrian who may see this, I am very sorry. Okay, but Austria is quite problematic. You know what I mean? I don't want to offend the Austrians, but I've noticed that a lot of history, actually, when it comes to war, Austria is very much involved in it. Like, literally, like World War II, Germany gets the blame, but it was an Austrian, right? It's actually really, really, really shocking how many times I've heard of Austria once we're talking about war. It's actually wild. But shout out to the Austrians out there. You guys have a piece of history in a lot of other people's history because, yeah, can never forget World War II. Mr. Hitler was Austrian. So, yeah, interesting actually.
Gary in Switzerland in November 1315 with his army of 8,000 heavily armed knights and infantry. He was then ambushed by 1,500 unarmored Swiss Confederates coming down a steep hill. The Swiss rolled large boulders and attacked in tight formations using 7-foot-long halberds and longer pikes. Leopold's forces were completely taken off guard and had no defense against this type of attack. The Swiss routed Leopold's army, killing over 1,500 of them, while executing or drowning any fleeing troops, showing no mercy to the invaders.
Dang.
The victory assured the autonomy of the Swiss Confederacy. The Swiss learned that they could defeat larger, more equipped armies using longer weapons like halberds, with their soldiers placed in highly mobile, tightly packed infantry formations. They replaced many of their halberds with 18 to 20 foot long pikes, and were no longer disadvantaged against knights on horseback or heavily armored men at arms. These pike square formations became the model for the modern infantry regiment. Each Swiss canton had their own militias where every man was trained since a young age to fight besides their friends and neighbors. Despite mostly being poor peasant farmers, they were organized into well-disciplined, hard-fighting squares. The Swiss had a war-fighting ethos that few others could match, and actually enjoyed and took pride in combat. They excelled in ambush tactics, using the rugged terrain of their homelands to their advantage. Unable to afford heavy armor like of their enemies, they made up for it in incredible mobility. According to medieval sources, the Swiss could move at a dead run while maintaining perfect shoulder-to-shoulder pike square formation, attack in any direction, defend against attack from any side, sprint up hills, through forests, in order.
Whoever said this, I don't know who said it. Maybe I'm the one who said it. I don't know. But whatever is your advantage is also your disadvantage, and whatever is your disadvantage is your advantage. Like, how the hell you think you're gonna get up in a spot and defeat somebody who's actually faster than you are? It's almost impossible. Like, I'm not the strongest guy in the world. I'm clearly not the biggest guy. I got some strength on me, obviously, but I'm not strong like a guy who's like in the gym just going nuts. But catch me outside, you will not. And I mean, you will not. You get the point? You will not catch me because I'm going to be so shifty, so fast, right? So it's just the truth in life. If you got a bad situation, you just got to utilize that situation to your advantage. And that's exactly what the Swiss did. And that is very commendable because a lot of people, if they didn't have what the opponents had, they're like, well, they got the big guns, they got the big armor, whatever. Now, we got big mountains, we can move fast, we stick together, we just, trick them and just do what we got to do. Plus, the truth is, most people who have the big equipments and the armors and all of these things, they underestimate the people who don't have it. So that's even a big advantage. Not having these things gives you a huge advantage mentally because they almost already believe they're going to kick your ass. So, pretty smart of the Swiss.
In order to charge into their enemies. At the Battle of La Penne in 1339, 6,000 Swiss infantry defeated a Habsburg alliance of 17,000 men, which included 1,000 heavy cavalry. The Swiss infantry square was proven to be highly effective against mounted cavalry. The Habsburgs tried again in 1386 to invade the Swiss Confederation when Duke Leopold met the Swiss at the Battle of Sempach. The battle was a complete defeat for the Habsburgs, and Leopold and many of his Austrian nobles were killed. In the 15th century, when full-time professional soldiers were starting to become a necessity for empires throughout Europe, the renown of the Swiss made them the most sought-after mercenary troops of the time period. Swiss mercenaries were so respected that some leaders wouldn't take the field of battle unless they had some of them in their ranks. Empires throughout the continent would get into bidding wars for the opportunity to hire them. What made the Swiss especially feared was their concept of no quarter for invading enemy troops. They made sure to kill any enemy soldiers who dared to trespass on their lands. Prisoners were soon executed after capture. Over time, more Swiss cantons joined the Confederacy, so by the year 1353, there were a total of 8 formed together. The most well-known Swiss wars against invading armies took place in the late 1400s. In 1474, the Duchy of Burgundy invaded the territories of the Swiss Confederacy. Their leader was Charles the Bold, who was considered the greatest duke in Europe and had one of its most feared armies. The duchy was beaten in battle in both 1474 and 1475, and Charles's 20,000 troops were defeated by the Swiss at the Battle of Gronson in March 1476, losing most of their treasure and artillery after they fled the battlefield. Charles tried again at the Battle of Merton in June 1476, but he was soundly defeated, losing over 8,000 men, while the Swiss lost just over 400. The retreating duchy troops.
Boy, that ratio is not right, boy. No. Nah. Boy, I'm retired, boy. You don't even deserve to be on the crown, boy. Like, you gotta go. Boy, how you gonna lose 6,000 to 400? That is not a correct ratio, bro. I don't even know what that ratio is. Because if it was 1,000, it'd be 6 to 1. So what the hell that ratio is? Holy smokes. That is horrible. Man, you gotta just retire after that. Like, I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful. I'm just saying, you can't be the top dog if you can't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, 6,000 of your dudes died to a 400? That's ridiculous.
Were cut down as they were pushed towards Lake Merton, with the Swiss drowning them and executing them on the spot. A demoralized Charles the Bold and his army were completely defeated at the Battle of Nancy in January 1477. Swiss mercenaries assisting the Duchy of Lorraine found Charles on the battlefield and killed him with a halberd blow to his head. The Duchy of Burgundy ended with the death of Charles the Bold. In the Swabian War of 1499, between the Swiss Confederacy and the Swabian League of the Holy Roman Empire, over a dozen battles took place between January and July of that year. The Swiss won every battle except for a few minor skirmishes. At the Battle of Frostons on April 20th, 1499, the Swiss defeated the forces of King Maximilian, killing between 2,000 and 3,000, while only losing less than a dozen men. The Swiss again used the terrain to their tactical advantage, attacking from the forest and higher ground. The Swiss would cross mountain ranges in order to attack enemy positions from behind. At the final battle of the Swabian War on July 22nd at Dornach, 6,000 Swiss routed 16,000 soldiers of the Holy Roman Empire. Some Swiss units managed to sneak up on the enemy artillery positions and attack with such speed not a single shot would get off in the entire battle. The tactics and fighting ability of the Swiss pikemen were only finally slowed down with the invention and increasing use of gunpowder. Following their defeat at the Battle of Marignano in 1515,
Yeah, I figured because, like, obviously he mentioned that the Swiss power was the distance. They had a good distance on you and they could handle you from a far distance. So technically, if the ops, American term, the ops, oppositions, if your opponents are literally, utilizing longer range weapons, then technically that becomes a little bit tougher for you. So very understandable. But if we were just talking about straight up weapon for weapon, I think the Swiss would still be doing what they're doing today. But, times change.
the Swiss style of mass combat fighting went into steady decline, to be replaced by guns, artillery, and earthworks. Switzerland would never lead another offensive operation outside of its borders after the year 1525, and it wasn't invaded again until 1798, when the French Republic attacked and conquered the country. Switzerland regained independence in 1815 and hasn't been in a state of war internationally since then. In January 1506, the first 150 Swiss mercenaries hired by Pope Julius II as bodyguards arrived in Rome. Julius believed that they were the finest soldiers in Europe at the time and gave them the title as defenders of the church's freedom. They became known as the Swiss Guard, and they are still performing their duties to the present day.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm telling you, like, if I ain't never watched this video, I never knew there was a thing known as Swiss Guard. But, dude, let's be honest. I get it, some people have advantage. It's just like Russia and the United States. One of the reasons why both of those countries are super duper duper powerful, I'd imagine China as well, is because they have nuclear weapons. If they didn't have nuclear weapons, the battlefield would be a little bit more balanced. It's as simple as that. So it's just an OP situation, overpowered situation at the moment. So it's a little bit tough, but it's okay. All kingdoms fall and all reign ends, So it was a good run for the Swiss, and I absolutely believe that they can still do it if they actually chose to do it. And what I mean is they could still be seen as extremely great fighters if they actually chose to continue to fight. if that makes any sense. But I don't think it's been lost. I think it's just not needed. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, Switzerland is quite lucky as well because of the terrain that they have, the mountains and all that. And it's beautiful that throughout the history it was used for the advantage against invaders. So yeah, beautiful video. Thank you guys for watching as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed it like I did. And yeah, share any feedbacks you want to share in the comment section down below. You can like and subscribe as usual. And recommendations, you can leave those in the pinned comment section, or click that link in the pinned comment section as well. And you can recommend videos using the Google form. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.